When I first spotted my new Mustang, I thought she was just a plain brown horse. Although I do love a plain brown pony, the one thing that I really liked about this horse was her inquisitive nature. But after bringing her home and doing a little bit of investigating, I found out that she might not be just a plain brown horse. I scoured the internet and found some very cute baby pictures of Sparkler and noticed that she had gained a star since she was born. After seeing some more pictures of her in the wild with her mother, Phoenix, I noticed that she was what appeared to be a varnish roan Appaloosa. Right before Sparkler was born, her mother was an extremely white red roan. Unlike a regular roan, an Appaloosa does have a separate gene that codes for this type of coloring as well as the spotted appearance that is pretty well known to the breed. After finding some pictures of Sparkler's dam next to her grand dam, I decided that it would be worth investigating the genetic makeup of my new horse. The genes responsible for coding for a regular red roan horse and then a varnish roan horse are completely different. Because of Sparkler's probable Appaloosa heritage, I wanted to check and make sure that she did not carry the LP gene. If she were a carrier for 2 copies of this gene, it would mean that she does have congenital stationary night blindness. Because I want this girl to stay in a good home after I'm done with her training, I want to make sure I have all the information possible. This type of night blindness does make it difficult or impossible for these horses to see in low to no light and can have a significant impact on their training if the owners are not aware. In order to figure out for sure if Sparkler has this, I did pull out a few of her mane hair and I will be sending it off to get tested. There are so many different things you can test horses for as far as gene mutations go. While the leopard complex gene is pretty complex in how it expresses coat patterns in horses, the presence of it is a definitive answer for the congenital stationary night blindness. The horses that do contain 2 copies of this gene are also at an elevated risk for equine recurrent uveitis, which is pretty common in Appaloosas and it's actually what Nigel is afflicted with. Out on the range, Mustangs come in all shapes and sizes, so it's not a surprise that there are a few that express Appaloosa traits. While most color coat patterns don't have a significant impact on the horse's ability to move through the physical world, this one definitely does. Compared to human eyesight, horses have significantly more rods in their eyes. This allows them to see very well in low light and also detect motion much better than humans ever could. While I'm not sure that they know exactly the severity of this gene mutation, it does have to do with the calcium ion channels that make these rods function as designed. Horses with this gene mutation can be really spooky around things that move fast and will certainly have trouble traveling at times when the light is very low or dark. This condition is congenital, so horses are born with it. If Sparkler has 2 copies of this gene, she cannot see in low or dark light. These horses can still see during the daytime. It is pretty typical for people to confuse this condition with uveitis, which is what Nigel has, and he has difficulty seeing 24 hours a day. It has long been known that Appaloosas can have a lot of trouble with their vision, but it wasn't until quite recently that they actually found which gene was responsible for the night blindness. Having a test available makes it so much easier to see if your Appaloosa has this or could possibly pass it on to any of their future offspring. It was really interesting to revisit some of the photos of Sparkler's dam and grand dam that I found. Here is a photo of Sparkler just before she was gathered with her dam, who is on the far right. Currently, Sparkler does have a little star on her forehead and some roaning throughout her body, but she was born completely brown. Here is a photo I found of Sahara, who is Sparkler's grand dam, right next to her daughter Phoenix, who is Sparkler's dam. And as you can see, she was also just a plain old redhead when she was born. I'm not 100% sure on the timeline as far as how quickly Phoenix roamed out, but I was able to find numerous photos of her in the wild. This is when she is around the same age that Sparkler will be in the springtime. She has already started to get a lot of white hair on her, and then a few years down the road, she is almost completely roamed out. A lot of times when you adopt a Mustang from the BLM, you do not have access to all of this information. It was really cool to see a bunch of photos of Phoenix as a young horse and then how much she changed right when she had Sparkler. Take away the stripe and they look almost identical, even their fabulous forelock. While to me it's not a huge deal for a horse to have this night blindness, you do have to be aware of it in order to have the horse be successful. Training in areas where the light changes very quickly can be hard for these horses. While a horse may seem to be overly spooky, it may just be that they can't actually see what's going on around them. I think sometimes Appaloosas get a bad rap due to their trainability or lack thereof, but this gene could potentially be responsible for those differences. I always like to have all of the information available to me about these horses, so I almost always send away a test for different genetic conditions that I may be worried about. When I sent Sparkler's hair off, I did get a whole bunch of different genetic testing done. I got a classic 6-panel, which tests for different genetic disorders that are typically associated with quarter horses. The one that I am really interested in seeing the results from is the presence of this LP gene and if she carries 2 copies. I sent her samples away around 2 weeks ago and I finally got them back this morning, so I'm really excited to look them over and see what might have come up. If Sparkler has 2 copies of the LP gene, then she does have congenital stationary night blindness. This condition is definitely something that can go unnoticed, especially if you're training during daytime hours out in the open where the light is really good. I would imagine a horse like this is going to have trouble loading into a trailer, walking from a stall to the outdoor environment that's brighter. They may be prone to pasture accidents if they're turned out at night and they cannot see as well as other horses. While I wasn't concerned about her having any of the other genetic conditions, it was really good to see that all of the normal ones that you worry about with quarter horses were not present. Because the LP gene is technically a color coat gene, I did have the full panel done on her and the results were as I expected given her coloring. Really, the one I was most worried about seeing was the presence of that LP gene. I'm pretty excited to say that little Sparkler just has 1 copy of this gene. That means that she does not have the night blindness that I was worried about. There is nothing that came up on her genetic test that would lead me to believe that she is going to be harder to rehome in the future. If anything, the genetic testing saying that she does not have this genetic condition will only help her find a better home. I'm pretty excited to continue this girl's training, and now I can sleep a little bit easier knowing that she does see like a normal horse. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.